Happy Wednesday, everybody. The Sick Podcast Recruits Draftcast is back yet again, and we have a very special show today. We're bringing on the GM of the Spokane Chiefs, Matt Bardsley, in just a moment. We'll also be touching on Grant's first top 32 for the 2024 NHL Draft. We're going to be looking at the Habs Prospect of the Week, our Riser of the Week, and Prospect of the Week. It all starts right now.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Recruits Draftcast.
And with the first overall selection in the 2023 NHL Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are very proud to select from the Regina Pats, the Western Hockey League, Connor Bedard.
The sickest NHL draft and scouting podcast. It's gonna be sick.
As always, I am your host, producer Shayne, joined by the eloquent Grant McCagg. And without further ado, we bring on a very special guest here, GM of the Spokane Chiefs of the WHL, Mr. Matt Bardsley. Welcome to the show, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. How are you guys doing?
Top shape. Yep.
We're doing well.
Awesome.
Really
awesome.
glad you could get on with us, sir, Matt. Because we're certainly
I appreciate it.
Sorry, we're pretty excited about Catton there. He had a heck of a. I assume you watched the Halenka tournament and watched him captain the team to a goal. It must have been exciting for you to see him prosper at that event.
We were really proud of Berkly. Certainly happy for him. He's earned every opportunity he's been given. He's a heck of a player, even a better person. We were happy. It was a great honor for him to be the captain of the team. I thought he embraced that role really well. Was a big part of their team, but also was able to, as a captain, get his whole team to do everything they needed to do to win. Even certain games, I think it was a Switzerland game, they had to win by to advance. They were able to do that. So yeah, we were really proud and happy for Berkly.
Yeah. And then the preseason is underway here in the WHL. On Friday, he had quite the game, right? 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists against Seattle. And then on Saturday, followed that up with another 2-point performance, 1 goal, 1 assist against Portland. But you mentioned his leadership qualities, right? Now you're around him, you're his GM. Can you speak to that a little more? Like, what kind of leadership, what kind of person is he, like, off the ice, in the room? For NHL teams that might be considering drafting him this summer, what kind of guy could they get?
Yeah, he's a quality person. Very caring individual. Cares about everybody. His teammates. Cares about his family. Cares about the organization. He really represents himself at the highest level. He's very competitive, very driven, expects the best out of himself and his teammates. And it's something that just it's part of who he is. He always wants to be better. He's looking to get better, whether it's off the ice, with whether it's even on days off, he wants to come in, whether it's a workout or even get on the ice, do some extra shooting, extra skill work, skating work. He had a long year last year with us, and then even he represented Canada at the under 17, and then represented Canada again at the under 18s, and then certainly at the Halenka. But we noticed a big difference even from last year so far to the start of this season. He put a lot of work in the off season, and we can really see the strides he's made, which is really impressive because he certainly had a great year last year, but he came in with a strong focus. And like I said, he has real good leadership skills. It's just part of who he is. So we're very fortunate to have Berkly with us.
I spoke with Alan Letang, who was the head coach of the of Canada's U18 Halenka team, and he was saying that he's not necessarily boisterous in the dressing room, like really talkative. He leads by example, maybe as much as anything. Would you agree with that?
See that? I mean, and I think Berkly doesn't waste his words. Like he may not be the most vocal guy, but when it's time to be vocal, he's got his finger on the pulse when he needs to be. But he's real respectful of his teammates. You know, he does a great job of including everybody, and even on the ice, he can drag guys into the battle and doesn't have to necessarily be verbal about it. It's with his play, it's his preparation, his focus. You know, people gravitate towards him. So no, I think you're right in that he may not be the most vocal, but he certainly leads by example on the ice.
And he also, Letang was saying that, you know, especially at the start of the tournament, that there were times when he thought maybe, you know, he wasn't necessarily, I don't know if he used the word lost, but in the defensive zone, but it didn't seem like he was necessarily in the right spot all the time, but his anticipation skills are so good that he ended up with the puck all the time anyway. So, you know, I mean, any young center still has to learn his defensive zone play, but what would you, how would you evaluate his play defensively as a center at this point in his career?
Well, I think his play, I think it's really involved. I think last year early on, it was certainly something that, you know, was talked about. You know, I think with Berkly too, you know, he wants information. He wants to be the best all-around player. He's certainly a very elite offensive player, but he wants to be known as a really good two-way player as well. That's responsible in his own end. And you're right. I think most players, that's an area that no matter what, they can always have a focus on. But we saw really good strides last year with Berkly in that area. He's coachable. Like I said, he wants to be the best, and I think he's quite improved in that. And we even saw it this this past weekend in exhibition. And even though lineups are a little bit different, maybe there's more young players within teams, including our team. But we could see even Berkly having that awareness in the defensive zone, and and he knows that if he's taking care of his own end, he's going to have the puck even more.
Yeah, exactly. He, I don't know. He seems like he's got that quick twitch fiber muscle, that scouts often talk about. He's not maybe necessarily the high end speed like Richie at this point, but he looks like he's really quick, and that I think that's how he creates a lot of his offense. Would you agree with that?
He does have some fast twitch. I think his edge work is quite good. But you alluded to it a little bit earlier too. His hockey sense. I believe his hockey sense is elite. So he thinks quick. He can play fast, even if he's not the fastest skater. But he can play pretty quick because his anticipation with the puck, without the puck, even when he's coming into traffic, entering the offensive zone. He's pretty special in that sense. So I believe his skating is good. I believe his edge work is really good. He can play with pace. Sometimes guys want to slow it down a little bit, and that doesn't mean that they're not a good skater, but they're just so advanced in the way they think the game. But with Berkly, I think his sense is so high. But he can shift gears. Like we've seen a difference from last year to this year again. And I think even having that experience with the U18s and with the Hlinka, he's, we see him at even another level than where he was last year, which is really exciting. But I think his skating's really good. Like I said, his edge work's great, and the way he thinks the game is so advanced. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I also William McCagg. Now he's a kid that just in looking at some video for him, I was doing a top 90 ranking, and I ended up putting him in the 80s at this point. But I see a fair bit of potential there. I mean, 6'3" right defenseman that skates fairly decently. I mean, right off the bat, NHL scouts are intrigued by that. Looks like he needs to get stronger, and that might be just the key to him making that improvement that scouts are going to want to see this year to perhaps get into the second round. What's your take on McCagg as far as in his draft year?
Yeah, with you. I think Will, he had a good year for us last year. I mean, he played 66 of the 68 games. I think one was he was a healthy scratch early in the year because we were playing a 3-3, and we could see he was a little bit fatigued. And then one other game that he didn't play, he just happened to be sick. But I mean, for a 16-year-old defenseman in the Western League to play that many games was pretty impressive. And like normal with some of the 16-year-olds after the Christmas break, you get to go home, see some family, recharge the batteries. I thought it really took off in the second half of the season last year. He has quite good mobility for a bigger young man. His puck skills are fairly simple, but he does a good job getting pucks to the net. Uses his partner, or if he sees the first option getting the puck up the ice, he'll do that. He'll jump into the rush. He showed that a handful of times last year where he would activate into the attack, which was good to see. He's got some edge to his game. He's got a physical presence. He does getting involved, and he's a really good person. He's an easygoing guy. He enjoys being around the rink, being around the guys. I think there's going to be some added size, and like you said, with the strength, much like most players, even players that are 19 or in our league transitioning into pro hockey, they still have to get stronger. But Will has a big frame on him, and I think once he really starts to add even more strength to that frame, it's going to be pretty impressive. We're excited to see where he gets this year, but even in long for junior hockey, what he's going to be like at 18 and even 19 in the league it's pretty exciting with that group.
Mm-hmm. Quickly, Matt, I was wondering, right? Berkly Catton is a highly touted prospect. There's a lot of hype around him, likely going top 10. How has he handled that hype, that pressure to live up to the expectations so far?
He's been great. Like, we talked a little bit about that before camp, and just kind of the expectations that there's going to be a lot of eyes and attention on him, and there's going to be he'll be going through a lot of interviews this year. But it goes back to, I think, just the person. He's pretty grounded. He has a very good demeanor about himself. I think he's excited about this whole process, but he also understands. I think, for a lot of players in their 17-year-old year, there's a lot going on. Usually they're in grade 12 in high school. It is their draft year. They're doing a lot of interviews. You've got the CHL top prospects game. There's so much going on that you have to manage your time and your body and stuff like that. But I think with Berkly, just with the attention, and I think even having the Hockey Canada experience from the under 17 to the under 18s, and then certainly at the Hlinka being the captain, he's certainly got probably a pretty good idea of what to expect. Maybe the sample size of that, wearing the captain, the captain of the team, and being part of a gold medal winning team. So, he's going to handle that just fine. I don't think he gets. He keeps his feet on the ground. He doesn't really get ahead of it. I think it just goes day by day. The main thing is he's just focusing to get better every single day, and he wants to win really bad. So and we'll be around to help him through it too, because like I said, there's going to be a lot of attention. There'll be a lot of requests for him, and we'll try to manage that as well, so that he doesn't get overwhelmed with that.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be. I think over the next 3 years, by the looks of things, you're going to be getting a lot of requests, because I was looking at the exhibition games, and Owen Martin scored a couple of goals for you. He's going to be eligible next year's draft, and then the year
Correct.
after, Chase Harrington, he's not eligible till 2 years. So what? 2006 draft?
Yeah,
2026 draft.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's those two kids look like. I mean, if they're scoring goals at 15, 16 years of age in exhibition year, I assume that they're pretty highly touted, and they're two kids that we should be keeping an eye on over the next couple of years.
Well, yeah, we're pretty excited about our young players that are coming up. And to get to learn from some of our veteran players, and even a player like Berkly, like even going back to Berkly, sometimes we forget he's only 17 years old, but he has this presence about him that, you think he's a 19-year-old, but he is still young. But we're really excited about our young group coming up. And I think, players like you mentioned, like Owen and Chase, I think they're certainly going to be, prospects for teams in their draft year next year and the year after.
Yeah, I do. Like next year, are you projecting maybe to be? Even this year, like you have, I know Connor Willette's a nice addition. And you've got Berthelot coming back. That's going to be a good top line if those two are playing with Berkly, presumably. The next 3 years, you should be very competitive, I think. Is next year kind of the goal to really contend next year, or do you think you can this year?
I think we can contend this year. I mean, that's our goal. That's what we want. We need some playoff experience for sure. Last year was a tough year. We understood that. We knew that. I think by acquiring Connor Roulette adds some skill to our lineup, some experience. He's been really good when it comes to leadership. The other thing, too, with Connor is he comes in with 43 games of playoff experience, which I think is just invaluable. And to have that type of experience, so our goal isn't just to try to see if we can get into the playoffs. Our goal is to make the playoffs and as far as we can, because for us to have success in 2-3 years down the road, we need that experience. So that's our goal this year is to make the playoffs and to get as much experience as we can. And then I believe the following year, for the 24-25 season, I believe we can compete for the division. And then that following year, 25-26, I think we can compete for the conference. And it just so happens to be that year is also when the Memorial Cup comes to the Western Hockey League. So, it's a with the cycle of coming around every 2 to 3 years, you have to almost has to be the right cycle, but that year would also be with Berkly's 19-year-old year, Will McIsaac's 19-year-old year, stuff like that, plus with their younger guys coming up. So there's a plan in place. We just have to execute that plan. But the plan starts this year where we need to get into the playoffs. So we're going to do everything we can to make that happen. So
you'll be bidding, I imagine, for that Memorial Cup.
Yeah, well, that'll be up to the ownership and stuff, but certainly have discussed that, and we have plans we'd like to make a bid. So hopefully we're doing our part as well, which I know we will be doing on the hockey side. So we would love to be able to host there in 2026, but we have to make sure everything aligns properly. So
I know that. It was only an exhibition game, but putting up 8 against Seattle must have felt sweet. Turn the tables on those guys for a change.
Yeah, it was. They had quite a young lineup, and our lineup was young as well. We also gave up 6 that game too, so it was like a game from the 80s. It was an 8-6 score. But in saying that, but in exhibition, it's it's good. It allows us to see some line combinations, evaluate the younger players. We try not to read too much into it, trying to still build that foundation, our habits of what we're looking for in our team, how we want to play, stuff like that. But no matter what, there's no substitute for winning, so you always want to win. So that's good.
Fair enough. Grant, did you have any more questions for Matt?
No, that's great. We've taken enough of his time there. I know he's got to get back. You gotta build a winner there, and I certainly you're going to be an exciting team to watch this year, and I think there's going to be a ton of scouts coming out to the game. So I wish you the best of luck this year, Matt. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate the support, guys. Thanks for having me on, and all the best with your program, and look forward to chatting soon.
Yes, sir. You're always welcome back. Always welcome back. Matt Bardsley, GM of the Spokane Chiefs. Great interview. Really interesting stuff about Berkly Catton, right? We've been talking about him on the show already for quite some time. He's projected top 10, quite the talent there. And we saw him at the Linka Gretzky really show out. I think he scored a goal like every game at that tournament, if I'm not wrong. At least he had at least 1 point every game. But anyways, he was phenomenal. Yeah. And I think that's a perfect segue for our next little bit of the show, Grant. You've already prepared your first top 32 of this season. So let's take a look. And Berkly Catton is right up there in the top 10. Let's bring it up if we can. And we'll go through starting with number 1, because this one is going to turn some heads. You have Anton Silayev, number 1 left-handed defenseman playing for Torpedo in the KHL. Now, we've talked about him already, right? He was a riser on one of our shows, but he is first overall in your books right now, eh?
Yeah, I think I may have touched on it before. it's a clean slate. Start the year. I really do not concentrate on players in their underage years. I mean, I see them, I notice them. Obviously, Celebrini and Demidov, Yzerman. You couldn't help but notice those guys, and they're excellent prospects. But you're drafting for 4 to 5 years down the road, and at this point, at least, when I project it, I did a lot of scouting, as I was mentioning last week, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, pile of video scouting. And as far as potential goes, upside, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, at this point, at least, I can't see anybody being any more valuable in Silayev. I mean, a lot can change. Obviously, it's September. Celebrini and Yzerman haven't even played games this year, and they'll have lots of time to jump ahead of Silayev. But at this point, 4 games into his KHL career, he has blown me away with his upside and overall potential. And for me right now, he's the top prospect. So I mean, I could have delayed it. I've talked to some scouts. They all have him, they all like him a lot. And obviously they're a little tentative to, none of them are putting him at number 1 at this point. But I've never been afraid to go with my gut on who I think is the best prospect. And my gut right now tells me Silayev. So I put him number 1, and we'll see if he can hold that position for the whole year.
Yeah. And looking at the top 3 here, there's 2 Russian players, right? Silayev and Demidov, sorry. Do you think that the Russian factor will have any effect on this draft, or are you kind of discounting that for now?
Well, it's funny. I focused a lot on the Russian factor last year. I had wrote a big article in my draft guide, "The Russians Aren't Coming." And there were a lot of quotes from just concerned about Russian prospects, and because of the geopolitical factor, you could say. And then they turn around and picked 3 in the top 12, including 6th overall. I mean, everyone expected Michkov to go top 10, but I don't think anybody really thought that there'd be 3 Russians in the top 12. And then Gulyayev, 5'10" defenseman, he went first round as well. What the NHL teams told us is that they're not going to. They don't think that there's a Russian factor. I mean, as I stated with Silayev, you're drafting these guys for 3-4 years down the road. It's not who's going to be the best player next year. It's who's going to be the best player 3 to 10 years from now. All these guys their contracts will be up. All the Russian kids' contracts will be up within 3 years, so they can come to the NHL, and that's when you hope that they've developed properly, and that they become as good as they look like they're going to be. I think the biggest Russian factor for me is that there were still some. You have to be concerned a little bit about development. I mean, Demidov, I had top 2, in the weeks leading up to here. And now I have Silayev ahead of him, in part because Silayev's already playing 18 minutes a game. Igor Larionov obviously loves him and is going to play him a ton over the next 3 years. So he's going to develop. I think he's going to develop a lot. There's a little more question mark with Demidov. It seems like, Rottenberg and SKA does not, Michkov's already been loaned out, right?
That's it.
He played 6 minutes out of the first 4 games, sat 3, and now he's been loaned to another team. And Demidov, even though I thought he was arguably their best forward in the preseason, or darn close to it. Well, I think he's played like 3-4 minutes last game. He sat out a game, and he's averaging less than 10 minutes a game. So how much is he going to develop? I guess that's the one question mark that you would have with some of these guys, especially any of them that play on SKA, because clearly the younger guys have to pay their dues, so to speak. And I don't know if you're sitting on, just like with Wright last year. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in having a kid sit out in his draft year or the year after. Teenagers need to be playing hockey. Sitting in the stands isn't helping their development. I'm sorry. So I guess that's the Russian factor with Demidov is the one thing I could see. You could see him maybe dropping as the season goes on. We'll see how other prospects do. But as far as his potential goes, I love him. I mean, he could still be number one by the end of the year if he gets opportunity and playing time and he shows what I think he can. But as far as the political end of things with the Russians, I think we got our answer last year that it's not something that NHL teams are going to dwell on.
That's it. And it's also harder to scout Russian players, right? It's hard to go to Russia, the film, right? There's complications to acquire that film. Anyways,
absolutely.
That's why the Russian factor is there, but it's not as present as we may think. But that's interesting. The top four seems to be fairly interchangeable, right? Some people have Yzerman first, Demidov first, Celebrini first. You have Silayev first, and it's going to keep changing up until June, right? And I absolutely love that. And there might be players that aren't in that top four, top five that can shoot up. You've mentioned a few guys that you have in your top 32 that can, rise up pretty fast, right?
Silayev, what's interesting with him, he's better defensively than Owen Power was in his draft year at this point. Similar sized kids with similar skating ability, but he's already got a better defensive game than Power did. And Power was, maybe 6 months older as well, and not playing college is good, but it's not as good as the KHL. And Silayev's already showing that, the shutdown potential as a 17-and-a-half-year-old. And it's just, that's why I love his potential so much. I have a hard time believing, at this point that, I don't know, a kid 10th overall is going to end up being better than Silayev, but maybe he ends, it's possible that he starts struggling and stuff, but I'd be surprised at this point. That's for sure. Those top four aren't etched in stone by any means. Yzerman, you put the microscope on these guys, right? I had to look back at him. You notice them with their puck in their draft years, in their underage years, but you aren't necessarily watching them without the puck. And he's got work to do. He's got work to do away from the puck and with his skating and stuff. So if there's any of the top four that might be passed over by others, it would be Demidov and Yzerman, and particularly Yzerman at this point. But going into the season, certainly I can't see any of those top four, top five, actually top six. I think they'll all be in the top 10, still at the end of the year. They're all terrific prospects.
That's it. And, we look over at number 6. That's a guy that we talked about today, Berkly Catton. This guy, man, watching the Linka Gretzky, he really, really impressed me. I was blown away. I heard his name before. I knew who he was, captain of the Canada team, but man, he really showed out. And to hear from his GM now saying all those nice things about him, I'm more than convinced. And you seem to be too, having him number 6, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can't, certainly for performance wise, what we've seen so far this year, the scoring a goal in every game, captain in Canada to the gold medal, starting off with great 6 points in his first 2 exhibition games. So, I mean, if he ends up, I don't know, leading the WHL in scoring, getting Spokane into the playoffs and having a good playoff, you could see him. He might end up being a top 5 guy in this draft class. He's just he's a terrific young prospect for sure.
Yeah, that's it. And looking right below him is our good friend Michael Nygaard, aka Shinpad, who was our riser last week. We talked about him a little, showed some video, but he seems to be flying under the radar for a lot of scouts, but not for you. You have him not only in the top 10, top 7. That's pretty significant.
Well, I was looking at the box scores again yesterday. He scored again. He's playing Allsvenskan and seeming to pick up a point every game, playing a solid 2-way game, playing competitively. 6'1", 196. That's prototypical power forward size if he plays with an edge, and he does. So he's a kid, as I think I mentioned last week, that coaches are going to love. So safe pick, but also one with a lot of potential, particularly because I love he's from Norway. So he didn't grow up playing high-level hockey, yet he's a 17-year-old that goes into Sweden and is already playing against men, already producing, already solid 2-way player. They're just not there aren't any strikes against this kid. So for me, he's both a safe pick and an intriguing pick. So I like him as a top 10 guy at this point.
Yeah. If we go down the list a little here, 14 and 15 are interesting because a lot of people have Hemming and Kiviharju in their top 10. Now they're still in your top 16, which means they're pretty good, but you have them below, the early consensus seems to be. Why would you say that is?
Well, I mean, there's people that have Hellenius in their top 10 as well,
Yeah, you could have him.
Well, a lot of people don't have Silayev in their top 10. So there's, that drops them a spot right there. A lot of people don't have Nygaard in their top 10. That drops them another spot right there. So, and Lindstrom too. It just, at this point, I like, if I obviously like them because they're top 15. There's never, I've had, you hate that guy. Well, the guy's top 15 in my draft rankings. No. There's no guy. If I hated a guy, he's not going to be top 15 in my draft rankings. I mean, there's always 15 excellent prospects in each draft class.
Yeah,
And it means that I like him actually. If I've got him in my top 15, the obvious thing with Kiviharju is that he's. I mean, we saw it in the NHL playoffs, and I hate to have to harp on it, but there are no 5'9" defensemen playing in the late rounds of the NHL playoffs. None. So I know I've got him listed at 5'10" there, but you watch him, I don't know, when they show up at the combine and they really put the true tape measure on him, I think they're going to discover he's 5'9". And I watched his last 2 Liga games. Didn't stand out. I know it's Liga and all that, but if you're a 5'9" defenseman that hopes to go top 10 in the draft, no matter what league you're playing in, you're going to have to stand out to a certain degree. And what stood out was that he was too small. So as much as I love his, you got to love how skilled he is. You got to love how smart he is. I don't know that he's an elite skater for his size, and that is the thing that and in talking to NHL scouts, independent scouting lists typically rank the little guys, higher than the NHL teams do. Like we saw Crystal last year. There were guys that had him top 3, on their draft lists for most of the year, and in their top 10 just about all year. Yeah. Well, I mean, I had him in the second round, and that's where he went. He's not a great skater, and he's not very big. and he didn't play well defensively, and all those things are important for guys that hope to play top 6 roles in the NHL. You have to you have to be good defensively. That will be the issue with Kiva Harvey, as you know, as impressive as it is that he stood out at 16 in U18 events and has played. But junior and NHL are two different things. There's been a ton of smaller guys that excelled at the junior level that still became decent NHLers, but didn't stand out can't stand out head and shoulders above NHL players because they don't have the size. So as far as Hemming goes, I did some hemming and hawing about him, you could say. He showed flashes at the under 18s for sure. I mean, you like his size, and you noticed it, right? You mentioned it right away. Yep. Just based on that tournament alone, he certainly, when you looked at the stats and his size and all that, he certainly has the potential to be in the top 10. Again, this is September 13th, doing a draft ranking, and if you were to ask me which of these guys has the potential to move up the most, who are ranked 11 to 16, Hemming would be a good bet. That the package is there. He can skate. He's got good puck skills. He can, he can grind it out a bit. Good shot. So the pieces are in place there. If we can see the consistency in his competitiveness this year, definitely could see him move up.
Interesting. Very interesting. Before we move on to 17 to 32, is there any other player you'd like to mention, talk about a bit?
Well, Weissman is unfortunately hurt himself in the game right before tune-up game right before the under 18s. So I think if people would have seen him playing there for Finland, he would have been their standout defenseman. And there'd be a lot of people that understand why I have him as high as I do at this point, because he played as an underage at the U18s last spring, and I thought he was very good. He's not as big as Heiskanen, and obviously not as highly touted, but there are some similarities in their skating. Just terrific skaters, smooth, poised. He put up better numbers than Heiskanen did at 16 in Finnish junior. I don't know if he's done growing or not, but if he adds another inch and some weight before the draft, I mean, these weights and measurements are from who knows when. Could be at any time in the last year. So there'll be kids on that list that grow, just like Dean Letourneau. I was chatting with his dad the other day, and they did measurements at school, St. Andrews, getting ready for camp, and he's now 6'7", 209. So, some of these kids have growth spurts, right? And that NHL guys like to see kids that are still growing in their draft year, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they won't do some more growing after they're drafted as well. Mm-hmm. So it's another factor.
Fantastic. All right, so let's move on to 17 to 32. And starting off 17 is a name that Habs fans are fairly familiar with. Cole Hudson, brother of Lane. Again, an undersized defenseman, but offensive potential is arguably higher than Lane's, correct?
I Well, I think arguably is the key word in that sentence. So
Some people think it is. Some people think it is.
Oh,
So yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've watched Lane Hudson, but he has a lot of offensive potential.
Well, that's why it's so significant, right? if he's comparable or possibly even better, then oh man.
Well, that's
an
not what
interesting
I'm.
prospect.
No,
Yeah.
I think the consensus in NHL scouts at this point is that he's not better than Lane, but Lane's pretty special,
Mm.
And there certainly are some. You can't help but same size, left defenseman,
Exactly.
shifty as hell, can ankle breaker, So, yeah, I mean, he's in the same stratosphere as his brother, and because of that, and because of Lane's success, if Cole ends up getting picked top 20, he needs to buy his brother, I don't know, a Lamborghini or something like that when he gets his NHL signing bonus, because it'll be in large part because of Lane's success since he was drafted.
Yeah.
Like it's obvious that Lane should have been a first round pick now. Probably should have been a top 15 pick.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, I mean, we don't know for sure till he plays in the NHL and we see if he can defend at that level. But if you did a redraft, if NHL teams had another kick at the can right now, I think it's safe to say that he'd go in the first round for sure. So, and then you see like Quinn Hughes named captain of his, team this week and stuff. So yeah, great prospect offensively. Again, we'll have to see how well he defends. But he defends decently. He competes. He's smart like his brother. He gets leverage. Just an intriguing prospect for sure.
Yeah, that's it. And then right below him, Dean Letourneau. We just talked about him, listed at 6'5" here, but now we know he's actually 6'7".
No, that's got to be updated. Yeah,
and
exactly.
Upwards of 200 pounds. That is a big boy. We've talked about him before already. We know he can hit and he can score. That's a very attractive prospect there, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, he moved up a couple spots after I got that latest measurement on him. Just based on that alone, I mean, 6'7", 209. Yeah, with his puck skills, there's no. He's as good a candidate as any to be potentially in the top 10 by the end of the draft year.
Yeah.
Like he could be top 5. I mean, the upside is huge with this kid. So we'll see. Just want to add a little for subscribers to Recruits draft coverage. You see all the players there. If you click on the player name when you're looking at the, I've got a top 91 now. Every player, we've got a profile up. Little thanks to Jonathan Catoni for helping me out with that. But we've got all the profiles are up, and I've been adding videos and scouting NHL scouts comments on all of these players. So it'll just grow as the year goes along. But you click on a player on our top 90 and it'll take you to his profile with all their measurables, videos, scouts comments, and I'll be adding my own Grant slant to each one of them as the year goes along. So we're really, I think anyone with draft coverage this year, and I mean, it's $1.99 a month. You're gonna get loads and loads of info on all these kids this year.
Mm-hmm. There you have it. That's good selling there. Man, it's worth buying the Recruits subscription to get all the information on the prospects for the 2024 draft and beyond. And these rankings are going to keep changing, right? So if you want to stay up to date, that's where you find them. Before we move on to Habs prospect of the week, anybody else in this section you'd like to mention?
Well, it's funny, the Jack Pridham kid, he was a late ad. I have to do some scouting on him. That's more on a couple of friends of mine that are in the biz that that got to scout him last year. He was a teammate of Letourneau's at St. Andrews, and he's moving on to the BCHL this year. He put up like 75 points with St. Andrews. He's 6'2", 188, so he's got the size. He really impressed scouts last year when they went to see St. Andrews. They had a couple of kids, one that was at Montreal's development camp, Del Elche, who was quite impressive, but Castagna as well. But when they were watching these guys, it's like, holy frig, wait till next year. Letourneau and Pridham. So I've been told that he should have been in my first round. So we stuck him in there based on some good intel. And I'm going to do some scouting of him in the upcoming weeks. And might be another kid that just keeps rising as the year goes along.
Well, there you go. He might be featured in one of our shows coming up as Riser of the Week. So let's dive into Habs Prospect of the Week. And this week it is Philip Eriksson, the 2023 6th round pick, 165th overall. Let's watch some tape on this guy and listen to your thoughts. Yeah,
he's it's funny. I thought the U18s, look at his skating here. This is playing Champions League, so it's men's. So it's they're playing against a Norwegian top team in Norway here, men's team. I thought it was a little sluggish in the summer when he was playing junior, but he impressed me. His skating isn't as sluggish as I thought. It actually kind of stood out in this game. I get he's playing 13 minutes a night for Vaxio. I actually looked up the you go to Google and pronunciation of and there was a little thing on there, a YouTube thing, Vaxio. So it's Vaxio, not Vaxio or Vaxio. Because there's 3 kids there that I really like on the junior team, but he's on the senior team. Playing 13 minutes a game, he's playing lots of time on the top power play, at center. On an SHL team, that's pretty impressive, considering that he played 15 games of junior last year or something like that, because he was injured most of the year. But he's competitive and smart. Good all-around center, looks like. I was quite impressed with his play in these 2 games in the Champions League, and he scored in each game. I think the last 2 highlights, here they are here. He goes to the scoring area here. You can see. Oh no, that's where he tipped it. This is the first goal. Puts it in right here, short side.
Yeah.
Ding. Nice shot. So he's got some goal scoring ability. And then again here, ding. Releases the puck right away. Accurate shot, quick release. For a 6th round pick,
great value.
And because he's playing top 3 center role in the SHL, he's a sleeper for Sweden's U20 team. If he keeps scoring, in the SHL as he goes along. I mean, these were Champions League games, but if he plays a steady role, top 3 center role for Vaxio in the SHL up until Christmas, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being on Sweden's World Junior team and we get to see him at Christmas time. That'd be a bonus.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Vaxio sounds like a Harry Potter spell. Next prospect we're looking at here is the Riser. His name is Anton Linde. I believe I pronounced that correctly. Let's look at some footage from this guy.
It might be Lind, but
Lind?
I mean,
in the comments, if you're Swedish and you know how to pronounce his name, please correct me. I like to get the pronunciation correctly. So
this kid, I'll listen to some audio and get the, what the broadcasters are calling them. Admittedly, I didn't do that yet, but he's really impressed me. He could be a first round guy. I've just been a little bit, because he was sort of off the radar before the exhibition season this year. I'm being a little tentative, but he's got first round ability. I like his two-way game. He's playing center, really quick and really competitive. You'll see in these highlights that he's all around the puck, solid defensively, reads the play well, but is very quick and very skilled. Good size too, like decent size. Oh, watch this. He got hit there and it kind of teed him off. So he goes after some guys here. Big defenseman,
Okay.
boom,
Yeah.
knocks him down. This defenseman's about 6'3", and the defenseman gets the puck here in the corner, and he tried to hit him again, then steals the puck for the second time on this shift. Then he's a buzzsaw out there.
Yeah.
Really like
Motor.
his two-way game, and then he goes to the net here, and then hits another guy. So he had 3 hits on that shift, 2 puck steals, 4. There's another one. So he, they weren't, other than the first hit, they weren't booming or anything like that. But I like that he finishes his checks and that he's competitive. Check this out. Look at this. Zoop!
Oh, okay.
In between the legs.
Yeah.
Beautiful little dish there. But you can tell, he's got good edges. He's quick, above average skater for sure. Size isn't a concern. Protects the puck well. There, he went outside the line, but he maintained possession. There's another nice dish that he made. So he's good when he gets over the line at protecting the puck and then finding the open guy. There was forecheck and pressure again, where good scoring chance. So he goes in the corner here. That was a nice dish out to the defenseman. Good vision. So he spots the guys well when he has a bit of time. This I like. Look at that. The dipsy doodle. And then backed it up and protected the puck well and got it over to the defenseman. So his puck protection skills and edges are very good. Forechecks hard. Again, steals another puck. This is all in one game where he just I don't know how many puck steals he had, but there he came back and got the he was the last guy back, came all the way back, got the puck again. I love kids that steal the puck at both ends of the ice on the shift, and there he gets the puck again. So good speed, good competitiveness, good smarts. At this point, he's a second round pick all day, and for me, he's got the potential to perhaps sneak into the first round if he puts up good numbers this year in junior for Vaxio. Just love the kid. So as you can see, this goes on for a while, right? Look at that. Here we go here. I think this might be slips it over to the defenseman, gets it back. Just really smart. I like his puck protection skills, when you're 17 years old and you protect the puck that well in a good junior league, I think it really bodes well. That ended up, I don't think he got an assist on that play, but he should have. Because he created everything. Look at this, and then he drives to the net. Almost scored on that one. You see the quickness, and I'm sold on this kid. And again, it's like the Nygaard being from Norway. This kid's from Denmark. Yeah. So 2 years ago, he was playing in some, he put up crazy numbers, and you're thinking, well, how does he make the adjustment to Swedish hockey? Well, you can tell by those highlights that he's already a above average junior in Sweden, and I think the sky's the limit on this kid. So that's one of my real sleepers at this point, and certainly he rose in the draft rankings for me.
There you go. He might sneak into the first round at some point in your rankings. So keep an eye on Anton Linde. I'll leave it at that. Prospect of the week. We've already mentioned him. He is 6'6", Anton Silayev. Let's have a look at some more of his plays.
Yeah, he. This is against SKA. I mean, right in the first period, joined the play, came right in. This is 2 shifts later. Brings it off the post. So his first 3 shifts against the top team in Russia, and he went offensive. And then, so he got an assist in his 3rd shift. Leads the guy, gets an assist on this play. He got 4 assists in 3 games this past week, playing 18 minutes a game. 3 of them primary assists for a 17-year-old defenseman playing in the KHL. I mean, it boggles my mind that this kid is just seemingly came out of nowhere and is just wowing everybody. For him to step into the KHL and to be doing what he's doing is just so impressive. I mean, I can't think of the last prospect that did something like that. It's just the sky's the limit for this kid. And it's a big reason why I put him at number 1. We'll see if someone knocks him out of that spot, that perch. But for me, no one has the upside that this kid has at this point. It just, I think he's just scratching the surface of his potential.
Wow. That's really exciting. Well, that about wraps it up for today. We had a great show. We had Matt Bardsley from the Spokane Chiefs talking with us about Berkly Catton, who we had in Grant Top 10. So don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment, and we'll be back next Wednesday as always. Take care, everyone.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.